In this lesson, I will show you how to use one of the coolest tools in DaVinci Resolve, Magic Mask. Magic Mask is unfortunately available only for the studio version users, but even if you haven't purchased it yet, I would still recommend you to watch this lesson to see its potential. And this is the clip we'll be working on. This one has been shot with Sony camera and it's in Sony Cine S-Log 3. And here I have only performed a small primary adjustments on the first serial note. This is before and after. So let's go ahead and let's create a new note and let's call it Magic Mask. Now let's go straight to our Magic Mask tool over here. And here we have some options to choose from depending on what we want to do. So the default setting is set to an object in case we wanted to track an object, but we can switch it to person. So let's do it. And here also we can choose what part of the body we will be tracking. So we can choose some features like arms, clothing, face, hair, shoes, and so on. But I want to track the whole person, so I will go back to person. Then over here we have some refining tools that we'll be using a bit later. And then here, what I always do, I switch the quality from faster to better to get better results. And then here, when we have our qualifier selected, we can simply draw a stroke over the person. And then here, let's also turn the mask overlay, so we can see our selection highlighted in red. And as you can see, the Magic Mask did actually a very good job with it. So now we can simply hit the track button over here and let's wait. Perfect. And now it depends what you want to do with your mask. But for color grading purposes, I usually only increase blur radius a bit and then I denoise it like this. And now I will also turn off the mask overlay. I don't need to see it. And now the first thing we will do is that we'll go here to curves. And I will use my white curve and I will push it up in the midtones to increase the brightness of the person. And this is before and after. Lovely. We can also use the same mask to modify the background. So let's right click on our Magic Mask node and let's create the outside node after it. And now when we turn the highlight button on over here, we can see that our mask has been reversed. So let's turn the highlight mode off. And here I will show you how to add some light rays to the background. This clip is very suitable for it as there's a lot of colorful lights in the background we can use. So now let's go to our effects over here and let's search for the light rays. Then let's drop this effect onto the node. And this is how it looks as a default. And then here, for example, we can just increase the length and the brightness of the effect. But now we can see that the light rays cover the person. And with the Magic Mask, we can easily fix it by selecting Alpha Limits Effect over here. And now our light rays are behind the talent. And let me maybe find a better frame to demonstrate it. Here is fine. So let's modify our light rays a bit more. So I'll decrease the brightness over here. Then I will decrease the softness to the maximum actually. And I will decrease the length to get more subtle effect. But you obviously feel free to play with it as much as you want. And this is before and after. And let's see the final result. In this lesson, we'll focus on log wheels and we'll be working with this Nikon clip. These are my color management settings. so you can copy them. And if you don't have calibrated monitor, change your output color space to Rec 709 Gamma 2.2. And log wheels, or logarithmic wheels, are designed for more advanced color grading than the primary wheels and offer more precise control over color and luminance. I always use log wheels in combination with the primary wheels. So first I adjust the contrast and the exposure with the primary wheels, and then if I want to, I use log wheels to achieve more defined look. And this is what I will be showing you today. So I will click on my primaries node, and here I will just perform a tiny adjustment, as I can see that my clip already looks great and doesn't need much work. So here I will just push my gamma down, then my lift up, then I will increase the contrast, and I will balance it with the pivot control. And this is before and after. So now let's move to our log wheels. And here we've got our shadows, midtones, and highlights. So let's start from the highlights wheel, and also look what's happening on the waveform on the right, okay? So when I move my highlights wheel, I am affecting only the very brightest parts of the clip, and I can also see it on the waveform. Only that bit is moving up and down. Then the same happens with the shadows. When I move my master wheel, I am affecting only the darkest parts of the clip. And then let's see what happens when we use the midtones wheel. You see, only that part of the waveform moves. So basically log wheels allow us to do more precise, more granular adjustments than the primary wheels. So let's reset it. And as I don't want to change how my background looks at all, I will create a mask on the face of the model to be able to isolate it and to be able to use log wheels only on her. So let's grab the round power window and let's place it nicely over her face, like this. Now let's go to the tracker and let's track it. And now let's go back to our log wheels and let's increase the midtones first. Just a touch, like this, to brighten up the face. Then I will decrease the shadows just a little bit. Remember, usually it's only about a tiny adjustments. We don't want to exaggerate anything. And then I will increase the midtones a bit more. And this is before and after. Look what a huge difference we've made using log wheels. It's a very powerful tool, and I hope you will also have fun with it. In this lesson, I'll teach you how to create different black and white film looks. Some people may think that creating a black and white look is as simple as turning the saturation down, but it's not true at all. I really want to show you the potential behind black and white film looks and how much we can do with them. This is the clip we'll be using for this lesson. This clip has been shot in S-Log free and I have already converted it to Rec 709. Here are my color management settings. They're exactly the same as for every lesson in this course. And I have only improved the contrast and the balance of it. This is before and after. So we have a good foundation for the black and white film looks. So let's go ahead and let's create a new serial node and let's label it as B&W, as the first thing to do is to turn the clip black and white. And as I said before, we can do it by simply decreasing the saturation using the saturation slider over here. This is before and after. But I want to show you a more precise approach that can help us to manipulate the clip more and to create multiple black and white film looks. So let's undo it and let's go here to our RGB mixer where we can manipulate red, green and blue channels separately. Then let's select monochrome. And now we are able to manipulate the red, green and blue channels in the black and white mode to achieve totally different black and white film looks, like this. So I can simply move my sliders back and forward to achieve a satisfactory result. I want a nice contrasty look with quite enhanced shadows, like this. But you feel free to play around with it to your liking. This is how we learn, as there's no right or wrong here. But we obviously haven't finished yet, as there's so many ways we can manipulate the black and white look. So now let's go back to our primaries, and I will increase the contrast first. Then I will decrease pivot to refine the tonal center of tonality, like this. Now let's carry on with the secondary adjustments. So let's create a parallel note below, and let's label it as sepia. And this is because I want to add a retro feel to my clip to make it look a bit more interesting. So I'll go to my gamma controls, and I will take out a tiny bit of blue in the midtones, and then I will add a bit of red, like this. And this is our before and after. So the first look is a standard black and white, and the second one looks a bit like a vintage photograph. I want to show you how many things you can actually do with the black and white film look. Now, I want to add a little bit more definition to my clip. So I'll create a new parallel node, and I will call it highlights. And then we could simply, for example, increase the highlights over here using the highlight slider, like this. And this is before and after. But let's undo it, as I want you to know how we can take more control over the clip. So first, let's grab a round power window, and let's place it over the talent's face, as I want to increase the highlights only on the face. And now let's soften it, and let's drag it. Now let's go to the qualifier, and let's turn on the highlight mode. And now let's grab the luminance slider, and let's move it up to select only the lightest parts of the face. Now we can increase the softness as well. And I will blur my selection. Okay. And now I will go to my white curve, and I will push it up in the midtones, just a touch, like this. And this is before and after. Now, there's still a lot of things we can do, so let's create a vignette. So I'll create a new serial node after my parallel nodes, and I will label it. And now let's grab a vignette from the effects, and let's drop it onto our node. And now we will customize our vignette. So let's change the mode to advanced. Then I will change the shape to rectangle. Then I will increase the size a bit, and I will change the rotation, like this, to target the corners of the frame. And now we can also adjust the anamorphism a bit. And then we can decrease or increase the softness and the transparency. I always go for a very subtle look. And this is our before and after. Now let's zoom in, as I want to show you that the face is a little bit out of focus, and we could add a tiny bit of sharpening to it. So let's also create another serial node at the end of the node tree. Now let's zoom out, and let's grab a round power window again, and let's place it over the face. Now let's soften it, and let's turn on the highlight mode to be able to see the selection. Okay, and let's zoom in again. And now let's go to the blur tab. And here all we need to do is to decrease the blur radius a bit. So let's go down to 43. And this is before and after. a huge difference. And at the end, we obviously have to track it. And this is our final result. Now I also want to show you another black and white look we can create based on the look we've just created. I want to show you some different options. So let's go back to our black and white node, then to our RGB mixer. And here I will play around with my bars. So I'll decrease my green channel first, then I will increase the red channel, and I will decrease the blue channel to lighten the clip. And now I also want to add some filmic density to the clip. And we can do it by balancing gamma and gain. So let's push the gamma up first. Then let's decrease gain. Then let's push gamma up again. And let's decrease gain. Like this. And now I'll maybe increase the contrast just a touch. Okay. And I'll increase gamma once again and decrease gain. And this way we've created a completely different black and white look that's more dense and less contrasty than the previous one.